Thank you guys so much for agreeing to be a part of this. As you know, it's currently Pride Month, June 2023, and it's just to have an open conversation around what we're doing at Xeneta, how we feel being members of the LGBTQIA plus community here. So to kick it off, Susanna, I wanted to ask, how do you feel being a member of the community while working at Xeneta?
I mean, if I pick a word, it would be like, awesome, right? Just great, right? I think it's, I feel empowered. I feel like it's, we are a representation of the community, right? And we bring that to work in a way. And we're able to bring our values with it, and maybe show people who we are, what we do, and that we're not anything different than human beings.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And I was wondering as well, in terms of feeling uncomfortable coming out at work, Christian, for example, you've been at Xeneta for a few years now. Has there ever been a situation in which you haven't felt comfortable to come out at work? And if so, when?
Well, yes, there has. Not so much at Xeneta, but you never get asked, or you seldomly get asked, are you gay, right? The typical question would be, do you have a girlfriend?
Yeah.
And nowadays, I would just say, no, I have a boyfriend, right? But that wasn't equally easy for me in my early 20s. Xeneta, in the very beginning, I'm not really sure. I don't think people knew. I think it's a half year in or something like that. People knew. I didn't keep it secret per se, but yeah, I didn't. I had a boyfriend. I don't think my colleagues were aware the first half year I was here. I wasn't necessarily a conscious choice, but I mean, I guess you all know, it is a bit of a choice, right? You always have to decide, do you want to go through the trouble and explaining that and other yourself and those kind of things? And now I have zero problems with that. But I think that comes with for me personally, with age and experience, and it wasn't necessarily equally easy in my early 20s.
Speaking about, in general, feeling comfortable, Matt, you've also been here a few years now. Have you ever felt like you can never be yourself, or do you always feel like you can be yourself basically at Xeneta?
Yeah, so I came from very corporate America, right? Where I could never really be myself in that kind of setting, right? Or I could, but it posed bigger problems and challenges for me. But I think in coming into Xeneta, I've never had the feeling that I couldn't be myself. I've never had the feeling that I was limited because of who I am or what I prefer. So I'm really grateful for that. But I firmly do believe that, again, being gay is the least interesting aspect about me and who I am. I like to think about everything else that I do bring to the table. And I believe that that's what's been seen in me, because again, I hold a leadership role here, and I've done so much at the company to see it grow, and that has never been something that's come up at all at any given point. It's about the passion and the love of what you do and how well you do it, and that's one thing that I've really appreciated about Xeneta in general.
Guy, you've been with us, let's say, about a year, right?
Yeah.
Do you feel it's even relevant to come out at work, or do you think that's something that doesn't belong in the workplace?
Yeah. So I really think there's levels to this. I think that obviously people who are in leadership roles, it's much more important for them to come out, because then it's kind of something that people can look up to, especially people who are in other roles. And they can feel more comfortable even with their leadership, and they can feel that it's not gonna hinder their career progression or anything like that. So I think it's much more important for people who are in leadership roles rather than people who are in just regular everyday today roles. But obviously those people also matter when they come out, because it also creates an environment where everyone else can feel comfortable in the workplace.
And as you all know, I mean, last year we celebrated Pride, the year before. How do you genuinely feel anybody can take this about how we celebrate Pride at Xeneta? Do you feel that we are actually doing things that are actionable, right? I don't know who wants to take this, but go ahead, the floor is yours.
I can take a stab. I think Xeneta has never been a place that doesn't acknowledge or appreciate, right? But I think like most companies in this day and age, there's always more that we can continue doing, more that we can continue to kind of put out there to bring more people to the table to have this conversation.
I would say at the same time, it's super cool to see, like last year, for example, workshops in every office about what does it mean? What is it, right? For people that don't know. We were in those video conferences and they were asking us questions and we were sharing our opinions, our experiences. So I think that's a way to start, right?
And I think that even more importantly, for such a multicultural company as we are, for people coming from different backgrounds, that's also an experience that they get.
Yeah.
And if they ever get back home, that's also something that they can bring back with them when they're talking to their friends or their family or whatever. That's something that sort of spreads itself, all of that acceptance and knowing how there's no like reason to have any sort of prejudice or anything like that.
I agree, Susanna and Matt and Christian and Guy, thank you. I think it's really important to spread visibility. If it's ultimately, can you do the work, then you're hired, is a really good practice. And I'm really proud to work in a company where that's the case. Thank you so much for doing this video. Thank you.